Okay, great. We wanted to welcome all of you. My name is Kerri Young. I am the Programs and Communications Director with San Francisco Heritage. And Woody, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Woody LaBounty. I am the president and CEO of San Francisco Heritage. And in case you all didn't know, we're a nonprofit that's been around since 1971 with a mission to preserve and enhance San Francisco's architectural and cultural identity. So that includes buildings and historic districts, such as what we're going to talk about tonight in Jackson Square, but also legacy businesses and cultural communities which we will also talk about tonight about in Jackson Square. So that's our mission, and I hope if you're not familiar with it, you go to sfheritage.org and learn more about what we do.
And part of what we do too is advocacy for historic resources, and that's partly why we are here tonight talking about Jackson Square. And part of that is a few years ago, we created a program called Heritage in the Neighborhoods.
Whoops.
And it was really to a renewed kind of a citywide focus to unslug neighborhoods in and around San Francisco. And, why is that important, Woody? Like, why, why did we do that? What were some of the neighborhoods that we went to?
Well, I think the thing is, with when you're an advocacy organization, it's easy to sort of, or it's not easy, but it's imperative that you react to whatever the issue of the moment is. And that often are buildings or sites that are in downtown or in places that the media jumps on really quick. But that means that we often don't get out to neighborhoods and spend the time in places like the Parkside or Visitation Valley. So we wanted to make sure that we were proactive about going to these underserved, you might say, neighborhoods as far as preservation and cultural uplifting happens in the city. So that's why we created it. Now, Jackson Square is not an underserved place. It's actually a pretty wealthy,
A little,
well-to-do
yeah,
place in many ways.
super
So
great.
it doesn't quite fit the model, but we're going to explain why we went there this year during the program.
Yeah. And I just wanted to give, before we jump in, a shout out to our design intern, Ali Hernandez. She created this really, really cute map of Jackson Square and some of the places of note around the historic district for us to celebrate our Spotlight Month here. And we do have a few, paper copies, but they're at the Hotaling House. So for those of you that are just joining, Woody invited everyone here to visit our historic property. Also, part of our mission is to steward the Hosaling House on Franklin Street, and so we have public tours there. So we encourage you to visit us, and you can stop by, and we'll give you a paper version of this map.
Yeah,
But
and this map's a good way to talk about what we're going to talk about because Jackson
yeah,
Square, it can get called, the neighborhood can kind of
From the
seep
Heritage.
over into other parts of downtown or North Beach or Telegraph Hill. But what we're kind of talking about tonight is a specific historic district that was designated by the city in the early 1970s. And it runs along Columbus on the west side, Washington on the south, Sansom on the east, and then the north, it sort of goes between the block between Pacific and Broadway across. So this is a specific area that was designated by the city as a historic district, and that's mostly what we're going to focus on tonight.
right. And so, Woody, this is really where our story begins, right? It begins in the bustling commercial district that really grew from San Francisco's original shoreline during the gold rush, right?
Yes, so this map, which is from the Maritime Museum, I think, you can
Hmm.
see the original shoreline kind of waving across the top there, and the current shoreline that we have in the bottom. So when the gold rush happened and thousands of people showed up in the San Francisco Bay looking to go to the Sierra Nevadas and mine for gold, we became an instant boom town. And really the heart of San Francisco at that time was around what is today Portsmouth Square. And the wharves that ran out into the cove along streets we know today, like Pacific and Broadway and Washington, all these streets and Market Street going out. This is where all the ships came in. And as soon as the ships got here, the crews mostly abandoned the ships. They were all taking off to go find gold themselves. So suddenly you have these wharves in these essentially mud flats of this cove, abandoned with ships in the alongside them, and quickly they get filled in. Within just a couple of years, along these wharves, the shoreline starts expanding to the east and to the north, and this all gets filled in. But that is the heart of what is Jackson Square and why it's so historic. This was essentially the downtown, the financial center, and the mercantile part of early San Francisco.
Right. And let's take a look at some of I just love this photo because it's what Woody, what you were just talking about of these, thousands of abandoned ships that came to shore during the gold rush. This is a photo from 1850 by Charles Pierce, but it just gives you a sense of how many, ships were coming and to the shore, right, during the gold rush and
Yeah,
that were being abandoned.
this is kind of looking west to the Golden Gate from Rincon Point, So it's
And
so
it,
our cove is a little off screen on the left is where Jackson
right.
Square would be today. So
But essentially, these ships were coming, people were abandoning them for the gold, for the gold fields, and but the ships were kind of getting a renewed purpose, right?
yeah, one of the most famous is the Niantic, which is kind of shown here. It's the whatever the fourth building on the right there with the big flag on the top. It was brought here, was one of the first ships to get here at the start of the gold rush. And it was quickly left behind and then used as a store ship, which means that it was moored there along the pier, along the wharf quickly becomes made land. And so you have this essentially beached or abandoned ship that's stuck in the land and is quickly used to store things as a warehouse. People use these ships for saloons and restaurants. And eventually, the Niantic became a hotel. They built on top of the deck and up above the ship. The Niantic, the original ship, burned in 1851. We had a lot of fires in the early days of San Francisco, and then a larger hotel was built on the same site. You can go see a plaque about the Niantic. It's essentially a Clay and Sansom Street is where it was, and where actually the most of it still is underneath the ground, the part that didn't get burned down. So there were a lot of these, and they were kind of just mixed in with new buildings of wood, and then after all those fires, brick that were around Jackson, Washington, Commercial Street, Merchant Street, all those alleys in that neighborhood.
And essentially, that story that you just told, kind of the lives of these ships, can be told in one of the ships of note in Jackson Square that we spotlighted this month, which is the Arkansas, right here.
Yeah,
And so the Arkansas was a three-masted ship. It sailed from New York to San Francisco in 1849 and carried, a crew, some crew members, passengers. But when it reached San Francisco Bay, it got caught in a storm overnight and it smashed into Alcatraz.
yeah,
Uh, and thankfully, no one was hurt. And a steamer rescued it and pulled it to shore. What was then the shoreline, as you can see, uh, at Pacific and Battery Streets. And it was essentially run aground there. And its story was very similar to the Niantic in that an Englishman, cut a hole in its hull, started selling drinks out of it for 25 cents, called it the old ship ale house. And it really became a staple of the Barbary Coast and served Gold Rush patrons at the time. And it eventually, they also removed the upper decks, built a hotel on top of it, and it essentially remained in that sort of with a hotel rooms on top, a saloon at the bottom, up through the present day, essentially, and through when the ship itself essentially, went back underground and a brick building was built in
Hello.
its place.
Yeah. That
Hello,
that
please.
was in, it burned,
Well, I'm watching a program.
that was burned in the 1906 earthquake and fire, and the building that's there today
Exactly.
was built just after.
Just
But
after that in 1907.
yeah,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
underneath there's still the keel, I believe, of the Arkansas underneath the old ship.
Wow.
So
Yeah. There was some doubts before, right? We were like, is it really under there? But
well,
they
they
were,
found out, yes, it's still there. They did some work on the building next door a couple of years ago, and they said, yep, here it is. So it's kind of neat. And it's just outside the historic district we're talking about, but we're talking about it
Mhm.
because there were a lot of ships that were part of the historic district as it got built up.
Yeah. And today, the old ship saloon is there. It's one of the oldest serving bars in San Francisco. It's really, really great. And we encourage you to visit it. It's a legacy bar. It's a legacy business with the city. And the owners they have retained a lot of its historic character, a lot of historic artifacts from the former lives of the bar. And so we definitely encourage you to visit it when you're next there. So what are we looking at, Woody?
So
What
I
is
said,
this?
yeah. So again, I said like in the 1850s and the 1860s, what we talk about it, what we call Jackson Square today was the center of the city. It was the commercial part, it was the mercantile part, it was the entertainment part. Um, the government stuff that started was more about Portsmouth Square, a couple blocks away. But this is where if you're a banker or you're somebody who wants to work in the import export and you came out for the gold rush, you were in what's today's Jackson Square. And this building is it was pretty much the most grandiose building built in what we call Jackson Square today. The owner, they later called it Wright's Folly, but it's called the Miners Exchange Bank. And he was really trying to impress people. Because if you're a bank, you want to build a big building or a very secure and grand building to impress people that you won't lose their money for them. So when we talk about Jackson Square in the 1850s and 1860s, there are a lot of banks. So this was right in the northwest corner of Montgomery and Jackson. It's not there today, but just gives you an idea of sort of the commercial might of that neighborhood in the first couple of decades of what we call San Francisco.
Right. And this is another great example of that, right? Another bank.
Yeah, across the street, and not as grand, but it used to have a third story. This was the bank Lucas Turner and Company, and a very notable person was sent out or decided to come out, resigned his commission in the army to run this bank in San Francisco. It was William T. Sherman, who would go on to become a famous Civil War general on the Union side. But he came out in the 1850s to run this branch, this bank, Lucas Turner and Company. And it still has a lot of what it had when it was built in the 1850s. It has that little Greek pediment above the entryway there. And like I said, it had a third story at one point that was lost after the 1906 earthquake. So the other thing about we were talking, there's going to be some cultural communities talked about. This San
Mhm.
Francisco is a very diverse and heterogeneous city. It always has been. Well, Jackson Square, unsurprisingly, has been home to all sorts of people from all sorts of nations. It started out being, it had a nickname of Little Chile or Chile Town because there were so many people who came up from the gold rush from Chile, the country of Chile. And also right next to it was a place called Sydney Town because there was a big contingent of Australians that were living over there. After the gold rush, the first couple of years, it became a space. I kind of think of it as like this mixing pot between people think of North Beach as a very Italian flavored part of the city, and Chinatown as the Chinese quarters of the city. This was both. I mean, you basically had this is right on Washington Street at Hotaling Place Alley. So we're just off of where the Transamerica Pyramid is. We're across the street from that. This building's still there. And you see this Cerruti Mercantile Company. But you have Italians and you have Chinese businesses that pretty much dominate this neighborhood in the 1880s and 90s. This is a little place called Osgood Place. It was originally called Ohio place. It's an alley that goes from Pacific over to Broadway. And some of these buildings date from the 1860s. And now it's pretty sedate and quiet. It's got some brick buildings, and it's mostly just sort of an alley connecting the streets. But if you went back to the 1880s and 90s, it was full of Italian rooming houses and hotels, and lots of immigrants who had come to San Francisco got their start on this little tiny one block alley. I did research into censuses, and so many people met and got married there, just like tons of Italian names. And they were all in this one little block. So it was very much a landing place for an Italian community. Hotels, bocce ball courts. I think you can maybe see in the map on the right there, Italian ball alley on the corner. And
Mhm.
plus, like industries that were Italian, like marble cutting and import exports. There's Hotel d'Italia there in the bottom right. So very much an Italian enclave within the larger, what you might call North Beach, Telegraph Hill area.
Mhm.
And then we were talking like it as it being sort of this mixing ground. Chinatown's a couple blocks up the street. And, if you read stories or histories, they make it sound like, well, it's pretty much everybody who's of Chinese ancestry or who's Chinese has to live in these couple of blocks. But you go over here to Jackson Square, where you have the Italians like just across the street from here. You have Chinese shoe shops, you have Chinese shoe factories and cigar factories, you have a Chinese laundry. So there's definitely businesses and Chinese American entrepreneurship going on in Jackson Square along Montgomery and Pacific. Just looking at these maps, you could just see the mixing pot that's going on in the 1880s and 1890s in Jackson Square.
Yeah, and this is just right around the corner essentially from the sandbar map that we just saw.
Yeah, it's like
So
40 feet. So,
yeah, 40 feet away. Yeah. Yeah, and that's incredible. Just all the different types of cultures living in Jackson Square at that time, right?
yeah, living above
And
warehouses and working in those warehouses, a lot of them.
yeah.
This is a much more
Well,
recent photo,
this
Kerri.
is really recent.
But I think we're just trying to show, like, even into the 20th century, there were Chinese businesses and Italian businesses. So this is Montgomery near Jackson. This is really the main building here has nothing to do with what we're trying to point out, but the Nanking Noodle Factory on the right. You had macaroni factories and you had like Chinese noodle factories just within a block of each other into the middle of the 20th century.
Right. And so speaking of Italian immigrants into Jackson Square, there was one very prominent Italian immigrant that really made his mark starting in this neighborhood, and that was Ghirardelli himself, Domingo Ghirardelli, who came to San Francisco not to run off to the gold fields like those some of those people that abandoned their ships at the harbor, but whoops, instead became successful selling chocolate and other goods to the miners who were coming to San Francisco. And so in 1849, he established, he started to grow his chocolate making business in a few locations, actually not far from here, one on Washington Street, for example. But then, he continued to expand and needed a larger place for his operations, and he settled at this building and these two buildings actually. The first on the right, by the 1860s, he and his family was at this building. This is 415 and 431 Jackson Street. His chocolate factory was on the bottom floor, and he also rented rooms at the top with his family as well, where they could sometimes stay. This listing at the top here is from 1868. You can see that he was residing in Oakland, but his family did stay here at the top of this building on and off. And also, they weren't the only ones in this building, right? It's sort of what Woody was alluding to earlier. There was such a rich mix of different types of people that were coming to this neighborhood at this time. For example, there was a viticultural society also in this building. There was a weekly Italian newspaper. So they were really, Ghirardelli and his family were really sharing this space in this neighborhood with lots of interesting people and businesses. And so by the 1880s, he purchased this annex building on the left here, right next door, and continued to expand his operations. But I think most of you know that he they expanded and expanded, and the company identified the old Pioneer Woolen Mill out at North Point, and eventually moved all of their operations there to what we now know as Ghirardelli Square. But before that, really in the years following the gold rush, Ghirardelli was really expanding his chocolate empire and something so um, identified with San Francisco today, like
Yeah.
cable cars, like the sea lions. It's just
And
like
Ghirardelli
Ghirardelli
chocolate.
is among
I
Ghirardelli's really
like,
up there.
Kerri, I like that it's painted chocolate colors now. I got to say that. This
It
is
is
that
painted chocolate
building.
colors, yeah.
Yeah, on the 400 block of Jackson. It's right across from Balance Alley, if you know where that is. So this building dates the 1860s, another
Hmm.
really one of the oldest buildings in San Francisco and a rich legacy.
Yep. Yep. And this is another great building. And
Yeah, you know
this
that
is this
alley that
house
we
we
were
just visited.
Yeah, that alley we were looking at where I said there are all those Italian boarding houses. Well, it basically dead ends into this building on Pacific Avenue. And this is a firehouse. You could walk right by it and not even notice it, but it does say Engine Company Number One above the doorway. And it was built after the 1906 earthquake and fire as a replacement for firehouses that had been on that site since the 1850s. So it is not a landmark. It is in the historic district, but there were fire companies, starting with volunteer fire companies that were on that site using it for firefighting as far back as the 1852, I think. So there it is. On the left here is with the trees much smaller, so you can get a better look at
Hmm.
the building. But it was a firehouse and a firefighting site until the late 1950s when it was sold. The city sold it thinking it was too small. Firefighting equipment had outgrown that little firehouse. And it's been used for offices, I think Friends of the Earth had offices there,
There's an
ad
art
agencies,
gallery.
art galleries. Yeah, it's been used
Yeah.
for many different things since. And I think the thing, just to kind of tell you what San Francisco's like, when it sold for about twice as much as it cost to build it. I think it sold for like $23,000. And to build it in 1908, it cost half that. So you're thinking, okay, well, that was 50 years later. Now it's 50 years after that. Did it double in price? Is it worth $46,000 now? No, it sold for $8.7 million a couple of years ago. So,
What?
we had a 50% or 100% increase in first 50 years. Second 50 years, it went up 20,000 to 8.7 million. So that's what San Francisco real estate's like.
Yep. In a nutshell, right there.
So,
I do love this photo,
yeah,
right? This is Montgomery and Jackson Streets, a place that we just were, looking at the Sherman Bank building. You could see that on the corner there at
in the
this
center.
time,
Yeah,
and the center. This is right before the earthquake, March 1906. At this time, the bank building was home to the Eiffel Hotel and a French restaurant.
yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we also have French and Spanish. Like we had embassies in the neighborhood as well. Again, more different nations. But this is when it had the third story. Then the earthquake happens.
Yep. But just to give you a sense of what that view is like today, you could see that bank building
Hmm.
right there with two stories instead of three, is what he said.
Yeah.
And people really happy to see each other on the right there.
Oh yeah, they're about to hug each other, huh? That's funny.
um,
So
and then,
1906
yeah.
earthquake happens, and this is why Jackson Square was the city's first historic district, why it was valued so highly that the city made it the first historic district. You can see most of the city destroyed by fire, the wood burns, buildings crumble, but then you can see this block, the 700 block of Montgomery Street on the right, the border here of Jackson Square, and you can see a lot of these buildings got through okay. At least the facades are there. They might need reconstruction and repair, of course, but we have these Gold Rush era buildings that are still in place after the 1906 earthquake and fire, and here they are today. Um, why did the fire not come through here as much? Well, we'll get to that a little later, but there was some luck involved. Just to
Mhm.
the on the corner where the Transamerica Pyramid is was a building called the Montgomery Block, and it was built in 1853. It was a very sturdy, large office building. Its size and its resistance helped kind of protect Jackson Square to the north is part of the story. But there's another part of the story we'll tell a little later in the show.
Great.
So this is looking west on Jackson Street. We had that Ghirardelli building, would be just off the frame here on the left, right? Is that right? Am I kind of
Mhm.
like, yeah.
Just off of the frame, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
just off the frame to the left. So we're looking the other direction, kind of west. And you can't maybe read above what it says in that first or second building on the left, but it says like Columbus Paste Company or Pasta
Paste
Company.
company.
It's a
Mhm.
macaroni factory. And I talked to my friend John Martini. His great uncle was a kid in San Francisco in North Beach. They lived on Montgomery and Broadway, and their family had that and worked there and made macaroni. And he lived to 101. And so John interviewed him when the guy was in his 90s, and he wanted to talk about the past and living through the earthquake. And all the guy really wanted to talk about was how to make macaroni. And he told him how they did it. So John knows how to make pasta now, but he didn't get tons of good stories out of his great uncle. But you can see on the right side of Jackson Street here on the north side, a lot of damage. Although this building that you can see that's kind of half standing is actually a survivor. We'll see maybe later. But the other side, in great shape. Look at that after the earthquake and fire.
Looking pretty good.
Yeah.
And next to John's ancestors' macaroni factory
Yes.
is a beautiful building. Well, the set of buildings. You could see Hotaling Place a little bit in the center,
It's
but
an alley. Yeah.
the yeah, the alley, but these, these two beautiful Italian buildings were built around 1866 and also hold a really interesting story around the earthquake. They were built for Anson P. Hotaling. And he also, came to San Francisco during the gold rush, looking for exciting, hearing exciting things were happening here. He really, this is him here. Uh, and he really got to work with right away after, as soon as he got here on setting up various business enterprises. He was setting up mining businesses in Placer County and like real estate all across the Bay Area. But one of his most successful businesses was Hotaling and Company, which was a whiskey warehouse. They did not make the whiskey, but they imported it from Kentucky and they essentially created their own unique blends of whiskey and rye from that whiskey that they imported. And some of their most famous brands were Cutter and Old Kirk. And so essentially, by the time Anson died in 1900, he had amassed somewhere between $7 to $10 million and in 1900's money. So he was extremely successful. But he did pass away in 1900, and so he was not around, fortunately, for the all the excitement that happened in 1906.
Yeah.
And so basically, and the a warehouse full of whiskey barrels is not a great place to be
When there's a fire.
earthquake.
Yeah.
During an earthquake where fires were spreading across the city. Some dynamiting was starting to happen. And so Anson's son, Richard, actually, he took over the business. He was actually in New York at the time of the earthquake. And so it was his employees who were left at the warehouse, and they're like, "Oh no, what do we
Right.
do?" And to their credit, they actually did what they could to get those whiskey barrels out of there. So they actually paid barrel rollers $1 each to roll like 400 plus pound barrels of whiskey out of this warehouse and to the empty lot a block away to the new customs house, which is there today. But at
Yeah.
that time, it was not yet built, so it was an empty lot. So they were able to pay these barrel rollers to save all these barrels of whiskey, and they guarded them with their lives. But as a result, all that whiskey was saved
Yeah,
after
and
the
also,
earthquake.
whiskey it's alcohol. It's probably pretty flammable too if you got there. So, but the big thing was with help from fireboat, with
Yep.
hoses, with the
Yep.
shielding of the Montgomery block, there was a pretty heroic effort to save this block face that you see on the left from the fire.
Mhm.
And so it was a pocket that got through the big conflagration that ran across the city. And again, not only just saving the merchandise, but I imagine whiskey was in high demand after the earthquake and fire. So it was a good economic move. But the company got a little bit of there was
Mhm.
some doggerel that was written after the earthquake to commemorate the Hotaling warehouse being saved. A lot of people, of course, like after any disaster, people say, "Oh, it's God was punishing the city because it was sinful, and it's the sins coming back. That's why the disaster happened." So a gentleman wrote a little bit of doggerel saying, "If, as they say, God spanked the town for being over frisky, why did he burn his churches down and spare Hodeling's whiskey?" So that is a little bit of San Francisco poetry that you should remember and keep and tell to your grandkids. But
I
it
think
did
I've
save that
almost,
little part of
yeah,
Jackson Square, so that's the good part. Yeah.
yeah. I think I've almost memorized it by now.
Okay. Later I'll
So
teach you the purple
if
cow. That's the other
if
one.
anything, okay, great.
Yeah.
Oh, so now we're moving into the Barbary Coast.
One
So the
block away.
earthquake is 1 block away. So the earthquake has happened. Um, but what was the Barbary Coast, Woody? Why is it so
So
famous?
the Barbary Coast is a nickname, playing off of pirate communities of North Africa. And basically, it was trying to say this is a rough place, but it's also a place where you can get a drink and you can dance and you can have a good time. So while Jackson Street might have had warehouses and whiskey distributors and chocolate factories, just 1 block up was Pacific Avenue, or then it was Pacific Street. And it was known as sort of the entertainment zone, especially the 500 block. Again, a lot of these streets in the early gold rush days, you have sailors, you have people coming in, they're getting off the pier, they're getting on the wharf, and Pacific Street was kind of the main thoroughfare in the very early days because Broadway needed to be graded down. It was still part of Telegraph Hill. And then you go to the south, it's pretty marshy. But Pacific, you could have a nice long pier going out and it goes straight into the city. So it became a zone for a lot of bars, restaurants, groggeries, dance halls, places for sailors and maritime workers. After the 1906 earthquake, it rebounds very quickly. Vice rebounds quicker than almost anything else after a disaster. And then it becomes what really a seminal place for early music like jazz and swing come out of this, dances come out of this. And Barbary Coast becomes a place, it's a little touristy, but it's essentially the place to be if you want to be on the edge, go dance, learn a new sort of step, meet some people that are a little edgy. And so it gets a lot of fame, especially after the 1906 earthquake.
Mhm.
Um,
And they keep trying to shut it down multiple times, right?
yes,
They're just, this is just an example from 1913
every
of
5 years
the
they try to shut it down. And
every 5 years they try to shut it. They're like, oh no, we got to shut, this area is sinful and bad. We need to
it's a
shut this
blight.
down.
It's a
It's a
blight of our
blight.
city.
It's a blight on San
Yes.
Francisco. But like what he said, the the clubs, the fun just kept coming back, right? They
It's
couldn't stop
resilient.
it.
People want to dance and they want to drink. And by the way, there
Yep.
was also, it was sort of a center of sex work as well. So you might
Mhm.
meet a woman at the bar who worked there as a waitress, but there were rooms upstairs in a lot of these places too. So whether how prevalent that was, I don't know. But in the newspapers, it was the big deal because um, you know, sex and women in bars were the two things that moralists were extremely worried about in San Francisco in the early 1900s. So this is the 500 block, and this building, which is pretty unassuming, the one that's right in the center, like 3 stories, is actually a very significant place in not only San Francisco, but in American history in some ways. And it should have a plaque on it, by the way.
Hmm.
This was the site
Yeah.
of the So Different cafe or cabaret. And it was two African American gentlemen, Lou Purcell and Sam King, who were partners that opened the So Different. And what made it so different? Well, it was an African American club, essentially. And they later called it a black and tan club because uh, white people would come to dance, learn the new dance, listen to the great band. And so there was race mixing. This was something that was kind of scandalous, but also kind of attractive to a lot of people. So the So Different was the club where you could go. Um, African Americans and whites could dance together, listen to music together, have drinks together. Here it is, a little later picture. Lou Purcell did great. He made great money. He was a bit of a celebrity and well known in town, but he was a very respected entrepreneur as well. And he had a falling out with his partner, Sam King. And Sam King opened up his own place just a half a block down. You can probably see it kind of on the right there. And Sam
Mhm.
King named his place the Need More. So there was
Mhm.
the So Different and the Need More. And why was it called Need More? Well, the people who are
Mhm.
sort of pro Sam King would say, oh, the people who go to the So Different, they need more. So they'll come here to my club. The people who are critical of Sam King would say it just needed more to be a good club, and it wasn't there. So the two were longtime partners, then they were longtime rivals. They seemed to kind of wistfully stare at each other down the road, is what the stories are. They were kind of friends. And they both died within just 2 weeks of each other in late 1909, early 1910.
And and these clubs though were significant for another reason, right?
Yeah, this is the band at the So Different. It's called the So Different Jazz Club. And some researchers have found or decided or claim this is the first band to use the word jazz in their name. They were so popular, so well known, and the term jazz basically came out of New Orleans into San Francisco, and this is the first band to actually use it in its name. A lot of steps that were used in swing dancing are still used in swing dancing, kind of swept the nation, and supposedly started at the So Different and other clubs on the 500 block of Pacific Avenue. Whoop, I think we lost Kerri. Oh, there you are.
Oh, whoop, it disappeared. Okay, I'm
Happens.
back. Just like that. Is everything good?
Yeah. But if you walk down
Okay.
the 500 block of Pacific today, it's tree lined. There's brick buildings. A lot of those buildings are still from the old days of the Barbary Coast, but you wouldn't know it walking down there today. So,
And it's another, another reason why we need something like a plaque, interpretive material. More people
yeah,
should know about this history. This is really significant history.
yeah,
And this is just the exterior of the need more, right, Woody?
yeah. That's a
Today.
block down on the corner there of Pacific and what is that, Montgomery? Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it's the 3-star Michelin restaurant.
Yep.
That's what I've been told. The name, even after Lou Purcell died, the name still had cachet, and this is actually after it's closed in the early 30s. This is a different location nearby, but they opened and called it Purcell's, and they called it the liveliest colored show in town. So the idea of a black and tan club and an African American club where you could listen to music and dance, as long as there was a Barbary Coast, there was some version of Purcell's that persisted.
Yep. And if you take a look at the building right next to Purcell's here,
Hmm.
this is another interesting building and one that, the remnants of this era of nightclubs, dancing, and revelry, if you were, is it's one of the few buildings that are really left today that you can sort of see the traces of, and that is 555 Pacific. And like Woody said, many of the Barbary Coast clubs like really rebuilt quickly after the 1906 earthquake, and this spot was one of them, one of the many that did that. I love this building. It features there's a kind of well-recessed exterior foyer with these like double swing doors, and you'll also see these bas-reliefs by the sculptor Arthur Putnam, who, at the time, Arthur Putnam, he was starting to exhibit his work in Paris and at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. But this building. It was built in 1907. He still had time to do
You got to
some
make some money.
artwork.
You got to make some money
Yeah,
too.
yeah. A job is a job. He needs to make some money, so he created these bas-reliefs for this dance hall, and it's the earliest known was the Moulin Rouge. You could see on the top left there the little windmill motif that it had in a nod to its more famous counterpart in Paris. It was called the Moulin Rouge. And let's see, these are people dancing inside around the 1910s. Notice the molding around the ceiling at the top there, which is really, really great. That stud lighting
Hmm.
is still visible in the building today.
Yeah.
But this is a great photo of really some excellent hats. That woman on the right there, though, is like looks really startled. Um,
Yeah.
and so sort of, fast forward the Moulin Rouge, and then it was the Red Mill, and then it was the Hippodrome during Prohibition. The Hippodrome used to be across the street. Originally was across the street at 560 Pacific, but during Prohibition, it just popped across the street and occupied this building. And, like many of the other clubs, they're all selling near beer, as it were.
Hmm.
Not quite real beer, not quite.
Yeah.
But
Prohibition was, they often say that Barbary Coast died around 1921, last raid, but it was still kind of hanging on through Prohibition in different ways. So
and
yeah.
right. And also something to point out with this photograph, you could see the top there, it was the Montana Hotel. And this also really followed the blueprint along Pacific and in this area in Jackson Square of, saloons, dance halls on the ground floor, hotel rooms at the top, just like the old
Mhm.
Ship Saloon. And so that was may or may not have having illicit activity at the top there in the hotels,
There
but it
was
was
definitely some
very
illicit
there
activity.
was
It's sort of the degree. What degree are we talking about? It's hard to know.
what degree of illicit activity? Yeah, exactly. And Arthur Putnam's mirror bas-reliefs, they were removed in 1937. A prominent art collector purchased them and they were removed. So the ones that you see there today are replicas, but I'm glad that they created replicas of them just to give people a sense of what the original artwork was like. And many of you might actually remember its more recent life of this building when it was an artists and craftsmen supply store. So it was like a really delightful art store. I remember going there. Many people have reminded us about the tunnels at the bottom of this building that maybe some of you have been lucky enough to see on a tour with Emperor Norton, for example.
Yeah, I
And you
don't.
could see, yeah,
The use of the tunnels is disputed, but probably
it
also.
is. Yes, the use of the tunnels is disputed, but you can see here that stud lighting is there. which I think is really, really neat. And but today, it is for sale. It is currently unoccupied, as you can see here. Woody, you said you saw maybe some activity happening
It
here.
looked like some permits were filed, so I'm curious what it'll
Okay,
be, but I do hope they keep that sort of vestibule with the replica reliefs. There you go. Beautiful doors, those sort of women pilasters there on each side. So there's still, this is if you went there and you were poking around, you'd go, oh, this was where the Barbary Coast was. So this building
exactly.
is a
Yeah.
real winner. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a little remnant of the Barbary Coast if you're walking around Pacific Avenue. I just want to note too that the famous architectural survey of San Francisco that was done in the 70s, at the late 60s, 70s, really sort of was a little dismissive of this building. They were just like it was kind of gaudily restored, and it's not to be taken seriously architecturally. I think that's what it noted, but I will put my hat in for this building that however restored, however
Yeah.
gaudily restored, we still love it.
Yeah.
So,
So
wow.
after the prohibition ended and there was going to be a big World's Fair on Treasure Island, the GGIE, Golden Gate International Exposition. And there was a very entrepreneurial, successful restaurant owner in North Beach, Pete Gavello, who owned a lot of the property on the 500 block or bought some of it. Maybe he had 80% of it on the 500 block. And he decided he was going to create a family-friendly version of the Barbary Coast that he named International Settlement. And it was all these themed restaurants, some with ethnic sort of ties in, geographic ties in. There was La Conga, which was Cuban. There was the Hurricane, which had sort of a South Seas tiki bar thing. His own club was called the Monaco, which had a Monte Carlo theme. And the whole idea was that all these tourists are going to come for the GGIE. They might as well have a pretty white tablecloth version of the Barbary Coast to enjoy. And to make it a standout place that you couldn't miss, he erected two street spanning signs that on each end of the block.
And this is the block at Pacific and
Yeah,
Kearney,
this
one
sign
end of the block.
is not there, but that we're just showing
This
where it
sign
is.
is not here. Yeah. So, I was just trying to give people a sense of what
That
it would
porta
be.
potty was not there either.
The
So
porta potty was not there.
let's
Oh,
there we
thankfully.
go.
Oh,
That's
there
what
it
it looked like.
is.
Yeah. This is actually on the other end. This is the other end looking back towards Columbus. But you can
Yeah.
see Pago Pago, the allure of the islands, and the Barbary Coast sign farther in with the leg neon. So this was the sign that everybody could see. You couldn't miss it. That would draw you into this one block. And it felt very much like a one block version of Bourbon Street today. If you
Hmm.
go to New Orleans, it very much was like full of just people night and day, especially during World War II, when there were tons of servicemen and women and war workers in town. This place was hopping. And a lot of you who grew up here, you might have photos that your parents or grandparents took. You go to a restaurant and get a souvenir photo in a folder on one of these restaurants. Very popular.
Yeah.
And this is Pete Cavello's restaurant, the Monaco, which had a floor show. A lot of these had floor shows, dancing, bands. Just think of some 1940s World War II movie that's happening in one of these clubs. So $1 dinner too, pretty good.
$1 dinners. And just wanted to zoom in here and oh, look at that. 555 Pacific that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
That's,
that's here. It's
during the
Bowman's
International
Gay 90.
Settlement Day.
Yeah,
It's Goemon's gay 90s. That's the gay 1890s, but
yes,
it wasn't exactly historically accurate. I mean, it was more,
no,
this is more, we're vaudeville, right? This is,
yeah.
it was,
It's
yeah,
very Disneyland-ish before Disneyland, but adult version, right? So, yeah.
right. Yeah. And sort of in the waning days of international settlement, you could actually see it captured on film in Pal Joey, starring Frank Sinatra in 1957. And
Mhm.
so I encourage you to watch it just for this opening scene. And it really shows the color and all of
Yeah.
the various places of international settlement.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that lake sign survived and got moved to the Tenderloin, by the way. And now we don't know where it is, but um, that's for another show. So
Yeah. We're on the hunt. SF Neon is on the hunt.
for that sign.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
this is just showing at Montgomery and Pacific, those two pillars held up the international settlement sign there, those kind of modern looking metal pillars on each side of Montgomery and Pacific. That's the only remnant of international settlement, really. So after World War II, sailors all leave. Vice moves back into Pacific Avenue. It gets kind of sketchy. People start going to other places. People move to the suburbs. So it loses a lot of its vibe, the international settlement. But a block away, where things are pretty run down on Jackson Street, old warehouses, the city is trying to build a lot of new buildings downtown. And suddenly these 1860s buildings are pretty tired and looking like they could go away. The Montgomery block, that large building that saved Jackson Square where the Transamerica Pyramid was demolished in 1959 for a parking lot. So that's how people were kind of treating this historic quarter in the 50s. But there were five or six very enterprising young designers and wholesalers who worked in the decorator business who had an idea. And they looked at this stretch of buildings, these early Jackson Street buildings, and said, we're going to create the premier decorator and design district on the West Coast in these five or six buildings. So they created it and they actually gave it a name. And this is where we get the name Jackson Square. That's what they
Hmm.
called their decorator district. So here it is, just 10 years later, all the buildings have been fixed up. There are fabric companies and wholesale furniture companies. Just think you're going to remodel your home or you're trying to do something fancy to
Hmm.
kind of change things up. You would go to Jackson Square, antique stores, things like that. So this is the old Hotaling building, and you can see by the 1960s you have fabric companies and upholsterers and folks like that. So it becomes very arty and very commercially arty, you might say.
Yeah, but we're starting to see that transformation of the district into something that we could sort of recognize today.
Yeah,
And so from whiskey to fabrics and decorators.
yeah.
It,
It also is
yeah.
great for preservation because it becomes popular and a fad to take old buildings and repurpose them. They didn't call it adaptive reuse them, but that's what they were doing. They were saying, this has character. So on the right here, this woman's walking by the old bank where William Sherman worked.
Mhm.
And that bank here, it is a linen store. Again, same sort of thing going on. But what is it today, Kerri?
Well,
Oh,
first,
oh, first, we're not there yet.
before we get there, I wanted to show everyone to go back to our building at
The
555.
Hippodrome. Yeah,
To go back to the Hippodrome, and at this time, it was first a furniture display showroom, and then it became a Herman Miller
yeah,
showroom in
yeah.
the 60s. So it's just going through time with our historic buildings and seeing them adapted for new uses, and this building was no different. So now, at this time, it's a
Yeah.
Herman Miller. Yeah.
Gavello, the guy who owned all that stuff, he started renting all this out. He decided to get rid of the gambling and the
Yeah.
drinking. And then this
But
is
before we
also,
get back to the bank, we
yeah,
are
we'll get back to the
moving
bank.
here.
But
We'll
real
get back to the
quick,
bank.
in the 30s after Prohibition ends, Jackson Square and North Beach, just that kind of area, became really the center of what they would call like a second wave of bohemianism, is what they called it. But bohemians mean people who are kind of what it meant then, were people who were kind of on the edge of society, people who are fun-loving, wanted to have a good time. And because it has that sort of marginalized fun aspect to it, in the press and in newspapers, it's often very much coded to talk about it being LGBTQ plus people. So a lot of these clubs were very gay friendly at the time. And then some of it was very on display, like Finocchio's, which probably some of you remember, male impersonators at Finocchio's up on Broadway, just right adjacent to the Jackson Square Historic District. Some very famous Female impersonators from all across the United States performed at Finocchio's. It was on the Gray Line bus tour, the night tour. So hundreds of thousands of tourists went to Finocchio's to watch the shows there. And definitely it was also part of just gay life in general. There's a lot of oral histories about gay men coming to the city or living in the city, and they'd go to Finocchio's as well. It wasn't just tourists.
And on the right here is Mr. Walter Hart, a
Mr.
famous
Walter Hart, yes.
Mr. Walter Hart. I actually learned from a Tenderloin Museum program that, the use of Mr., Mrs. was intentional to signify to audiences of the performers assigned gender at birth, right? So it's sort of to show
Yeah,
and communicate the performance
yeah, the trick
of it
that
all,
they
the
might
trick
think
of it all.
they're seeing. Yeah. So
Yeah, so this was Mr. Walter.
yeah. And then over on the 700 block of Montgomery, where this is today's shot, the Canessa Printing Company, the Canessa building. This was the famous Black Cat, which was a club that had started in the Tenderloin, and after it got burned out in the earthquake and fire, and then it was getting shut down for vice raids. And then after Prohibition, it moved into this building. And this became a very famous bohemian place as well. More on the intellectual side, like John Steinbeck drank there. But then it quickly in the 40s became a little bit more fun loving, and you started having more shows that we would call drag shows today. And there was a waiter there who really starred and took over the show. Who was that, Kerri? Do we have a picture?
We do. Jose Sarria, who was one of the most famous performers at the Black Hat, and this is Sarria inside of the Black Hat performing.
Yeah,
And I
he
love
just
this photo.
filled the place and became very well known. And before there were things such as really public gay rights movements, he was definitely a pioneer in pushing for gay rights. He had a very famous saying that he would say, "United we stand, divided they arrest us one by one." So he would try to really promote unity for all the gay men who showed up at the place for sure. And he was the first openly gay person to run for elected office in the United States when he ran for supervisor in 1961. So that all happened
Mhm.
right there in that Canessa building on the ground floor.
Right. Yeah. And Harvey Milk, of course, famously
He
became the
won.
first. He won. Harvey Milk famously won, but before him, Jose Sarria
Yeah,
was the first to run. And if he did win, he would have also been the first Latino supervisor in San
right,
Francisco as well.
right.
And we actually, the SF Heritage team actually just took a visit to the GLBT Historical Society's museum space in the Castro. We encourage you all to visit there if you haven't. It's on 18th Street in the Castro, but they have a display dedicated to Jose Sarria and the Black Cat. They have many artifacts from that time when Sarria was performing there. They have his papers, which so overall, a fantastic collection that we encourage you
Yeah,
to
they
visit.
have a nice
Yeah.
display. Yeah.
Mhm. And so back to the bank building.
Here's the bank. So William Stout is an architecture and design based or themed bookstore that started as part of that bohemian era that was going on after World War II. And he started over on what's Osgood Place today. And then he moved into the old bank that William T. Sherman used to run. And we just want to highlight this because this could be a legacy business. It's definitely been, it qualifies an age and importance to the city. So we're kind of pushing them to apply and get on the legacy business registry.
Right. And this is William Stout Architectural Books. I hope many of you have been there, but if you haven't, please visit. It is one of the best bookstores in the city. We have many. We're blessed in San Francisco to have many great bookstores. But it was started by architect William Stout in 1974. Actually, he started it out of his living room in Telegraph Hill. and sold books out of his living room and kitchen. And his initial, clients were architecture firms that were starting to move in to the Jackson Square area. We were saying that first decorators, furniture showrooms were starting to move in. And then slowly we also had architects and designers following them. We saw the Herman Miller showroom a little bit before. And so William Stout, then the bookstore, was really catering to this type of clientele that was moving into the area. And so eventually, yeah, Stout moved into this, saw the opportunity, the vacancy in the old Sherman Bank building, and moved in 1984. And it's been there ever since. And in 2022, he retired, and it is now stewarded by the Eames Institute for Infinite Curiosity, which is their full name. But they are dedicated to the legacy of Charles and Ray Eames. And so the point that Woody was making, it is a fantastic legacy business candidate in Jackson Square. And another business, so this is right around the corner in on Gold Street. This is Bix. It's a restaurant that opened in 1988. It's a fun supper club. It really feels like a secret. The alley at Gold Street is a very unassuming one. It was really served many of the businesses around Jackson Square. They served as warehouses. So but Bix, yeah, it's been open since the 80s, and it's like a really upscale, fancy, a good time. And you can never be overdressed at a place like Bix. But
Yeah.
Bix, but Bix is a legacy business, and it
Yeah.
is on the Legacy Business Registry. So we just wanted to highlight some of the longstanding businesses that are in Jackson Square today. Another is Size Vietnamese restaurant. They originally had opened in the Tenderloin in 1982, and for many, many years, many decades, they moved to the base of the Transamerica Pyramid around there on Washington, and unfortunately, had to move, and were told that their lease was up in 2022. But thankfully, they were able to find a new space here on the corner of Columbus and Jackson. They had much public support from the public, and part of this journey of raising awareness about their importance as a longstanding business in San Francisco was the effort to add them to the Legacy Business Registry. So they were
Right.
added to the registry in 2022 as part of the process of helping them find a new home at this spot here. And just go ahead.
I was going to say, what did it used to be though? I have a different memory of this spot.
And others might have a different memory of the spot. Whoa,
Yeah.
Clown Alley.
That's what I remember. But yeah, that just shows how the Legacy Business Registry helps. When you get on the registry, people, the government, the city, agencies, people want to try to help you stay in business. So somebody's asking, I think they're probably asking, do you have to be in the same spot? And you don't. Mostly legacy businesses do stay in the same spot. They occasionally move as long as they keep what makes them special, their signage, the cuisine they offer, or whatever it is that makes them a legacy business other than age. As long as they keep that going, they are able to move. But it doesn't happen very often, I should say. They're usually
No,
tied to their context of their space. So
right.
we also want to push that Tricolor over on Washington could qualify as a legacy business. Stout should be a legacy business. So part of this month is we're trying to highlight these places and try to elevate them and get them on the Legacy Business Registry. But
Yes,
we have other motives as well.
right. And we have other motives. And so, I mean, we're back at the old Ship Saloon,
Right.
which is on the Legacy Business Registry,
Yes.
but Woody, it is actually outside. Its
Right.
building is outside the bounds of the historic district.
Right. And so
So,
this is a point I just want to quickly make about why historic districts are helpful. A lot of the new state laws that are trying to streamline housing production, they will allow you to demolish a building in many cases if it meets certain criteria, the site and the zone, and that you're meeting code. But there's an exception if you're a listed historic property, like a landmark, or you're in a historic district, you're a contributor to a historic district. So this is a good example of a building that we wouldn't want to lose that is a legacy business, but it's not in the historic district. It's not designated in any way. And so there is a scenario in which a streamlining housing bill could be, a plan could be made to demolish this building and we could lose it. And not only that, we wouldn't really have a say locally because these are state laws and they're allowed to kind of go around the local jurisdiction and any kind of discretionary review. So this is the importance of historic districts and why we shouldn't be scared of them. They can help us at least put a pause on a possible demolition, because if this was in the district as a contributor, it would have to go through a local process. It still could be demolished, but it would have to go through a process here. Whereas in some of these streamlining bills, that isn't even in the line of having it happen. So
Right, exactly. And the old ship saloon, it's literally across the street
yeah,
from the edge of the historic district,
right. But it's not in it.
but
Yeah.
but it's not in it. So
And, speaking of how does a historic district get made? Well, in the early 70s, we had started a landmark program in the late 60s. And by the time the early 70s came around, there was a recognition that individual landmarks like the Ghirardelli building or the Hotaling building were fine. But if you didn't do a broader sort of overview of the context of what they're sitting in, you could have a giant silver building in the middle of the block if it wasn't one of the landmarks. So they recognized that the brick buildings of that neighborhood, the scale, the size, the architectural style was all very cohesive. And so they came up with the idea of having the city's first historic district. And we talked about the boundaries, but essentially they're saying if these places, the ones that were built after the earthquake, are very similar to the ones that were built in the 1860s, they all should stay together. And if change has to happen, there has to be a review process. There has to be some way to look at this and figure out how new construction or changes to buildings can be complementary to the rest of the district. That doesn't mean things can't change, right, Kerri? Don't we have like some language, I think, from this is, by the way, this is the Transamerica building going up in the background, and that's the 700 block of Montgomery, just to give you a feeling for what was going on at the time when they decided to make a
yes,
historic district.
this is an incredible photo.
Yeah.
It's just looming over Jackson Square like the Death Star.
Yeah,
Okay.
and new buildings were just moving to the to the north. So this is a map from the report that the planning department did to create the historic district, showing these are the buildings. This is when they were built. This is what they have in common. Some buildings aren't contributors, but they're in the district, so you can build on those sites. We had open parking lots too. But when you build a new building, we want it to fit in with the neighborhood.
Right. And so, getting into why we are doing this, why we're spotlighting Jackson Square. So, you look at the neighborhood today, you look at the current uses for these buildings, like the old Needmore Club is like what he said, it's a three-star Michelin restaurant. One of the Hotaling warehouses is a designer clothing store. What else do we have? Like you mentioned, the old fire station was just sold to a venture capital firm for millions of dollars. And on top of that, we have Waymos here too,
There's
like
Ramos.
we have Waymos.
It's
Um,
a hot spot for tech firms and AI firms, and it's still very much sought after.
it's
So
sought after, and this building is a great example of that,
this
right?
building recently sold for over $30 million. So it's funny. I always say that economic depression is good for preservation, but when something's hot and people want to move in there and everybody wants a Jackson Square address, it can put a lot of pressure on historic buildings. So while we usually, when we do heritage in neighborhoods, we go to these underserved neighborhoods, this is definitely a neighborhood that has money. It definitely has attention, but it also shows that it wasn't always that way. And so making a historic district and saving the places that are special doesn't like stop any kind of economic vitality. In fact, it could be the total opposite. This is a very highly
Mhm.
sought after neighborhood and very highly valued. And it kind of comes around to what's been happening recently. There's another historic district that has been proposed in San Francisco, and there's been a lot of backlash about it, and that is North Beach. We tried to create, not us, but there has been a creation to make a National Register historic district of North Beach. And a National Register district is less restrictive than the city historic district like Jackson Square. But still, people are like worried that it's going to impact their property values, that they won't be able to use the streamlining housing bills, that it'll stop new housing from being built, all these things. There's a lot of like uproar about it. A lot of this stuff isn't true, and we know it won't hurt property values, as we can see from Jackson Square. It has tons of housing already. And this is from the Jackson Square report. This is what a historic district is meant to do then and what it does now. It exists
Mhm.
not as a changing, living, place, not a static museum place. And Jackson Square, all those buildings have been used for different things in the last 50 years. But it's basically preserving what's special about that, the look, trying to keep the materials the same. And you can still do a lot of infill building. You can build new housing. You can do all sorts of things in a historic district. But it's just, are we taking a close look about what changes? Are we like making sure it doesn't lose its integrity? Are we making sure that whatever sort of decisions we make are well thought out and made locally by the people who know it and know the space and value it and love it, and not just by some law that covers every property in California? So all those things are very helpful for a historic district because it keeps what we want to keep special in San Francisco alive. And Jackson Square is a great example of that. So the North Beach Historic District was supposed to be heard by the State Historic Resources Commission in uh, February, I think it was. And the mayor asked it be taken off because he wanted to look closer at it. Then it was supposed to be heard at the next meeting in May, and we met with the mayor. We talked about it. In May, somebody said they hadn't been noticed, so the state got worried that a property owner didn't get noticed, so they put it off to August. And now we hear it's not on the August agenda. So we don't know if it's politics or misunderstandings. But if you wanted to pick a neighborhood in San Francisco that you thought was a historic district, you'd probably start with like North Beach or
North
Chinatown.
Beach.
So it really has to happen. And we're just trying to show Jackson Square did not harm anything. It's actually been great for that neighborhood over the last 50 years. North Beach, we can have new housing, we can have infill, we can do all this stuff, but let's keep what's special about it. And that's kind of our point
Yeah.
here with the Jackson Square month.
And and those words before from the historic district nomination, it's that was always the intention. The intention was never to freeze a neighborhood in amber, as they say. And Jackson Square is very much, it's showing that that is happening with, and was the very first historic district, and it is very much thriving today. And that's really what we wanted to share with this month, and draw that attention to what's happening in North Beach too. And so everything we've told you tonight is only a fraction of what we have written. And so Woody and I have written many posts about all of these special places, about the historic district, about the businesses, and you could find them all on our website, and I'll put the link in the chat. But you'll be able to find it at sfheritage.org. So we definitely encourage you to visit, take your time, dig into these posts, share them, and really just visit the neighborhood when you're next in San Francisco. I know that I look at the neighborhood in a new way now. I grew up in San Francisco, but it's truly, this is an example of how much more you can learn about the place that you live, and really about the things that the places that make it special. And Jackson Square is one of them for sure. And we also, this is just a reminder too that San Francisco Heritage, we're a membership organization, and so if we encourage you to join us as a member. We give our members a quarterly printed newsletter, and the last issue was focused on Jackson Square. We fill it with history articles, news about our advocacy events, etc. And we also are posting about Jackson Square mostly every day on our social media. So we encourage you to follow us on social media if you're there as well. So it's just a note that we're around. There are many ways that you can find us, follow us, sign up for our emails, etc. And so there's lots more Jackson Square info out there. And just to close this out, before we end, a note that we have our next neighborhood. We just wanted to preview that for all of you coming up in October. Where's that, Woody?
We're going to be south of Market, which, oh my gosh, we could write a whole book on it. We could do a whole year of south of Market, but we're going to basically try to focus on, well, just about everything, the same things we talked about tonight, but a very different neighborhood and has a very different history, even though it's 10 blocks away, right? So that's what's
Right.
great about San Francisco. So join us for the Heritage in the Neighborhood south of Market in October.
In October. And so we wanted to thank you. I know we went a few minutes over, but we thank you all for staying with us. And we'll stop the recording now, and in case that you have some questions.